At the 73rd Academy Awards, which afforded the films of 2000, the supporting actress category included four nominees who had won a major precursor heading into the Oscars. Judi Dench in Chocolat won at SAG, Kate Hudson in Almost Famous at the Golden Globes, Frances McDormand in Almost Famous at Critics' Choice, and Julie Walters in Billy Elliot at BAFTA. Meanwhile, Marcia Gay Harden had only won a New York Film Critics Award without even a nomination from the major precursors. On Oscar night, Kate Hudson and Judi Dench had been presumed favorites, but Nicolas Cage announced the winner as someone few had seen coming.
Marcia Gay Harden and Pollock!
Marcia Gay Harden was the big winner, defeating the odds in a way we've yet to see again among acting winners. So how did this happen? We'll explore all this and more on today's episode of How Did They Win? Hello and welcome back to How Did They Win? A bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is, where I take a request from a patron to cover an Oscar race of the past, go through the nominees, and discuss why we think the winner won and why the losers lost. And I am here today with my two great friends, panelists, co-hosts, multi-hyphenates. Welcome back to the show, Tom O'Brien.
Hi, Kevin. It's great to be back.
Great to see you. And love that you got a Santa hat going on right now. I know the listeners can't see it, but very festive. Of course, my other wonderful guest, Amy Thomasson. Welcome.
Hello. It's good to be back as always.
Yes.
And you love the hat, Tom. I agree.
Thank you. Ooh. And a little snowball on top here.
A little poof.
Very cute.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm excited to jump right into this. This is a very exciting race we're talking about today. We're talking about the 2000 Best Supporting Actress race, the one where Marcia Gay Harden pulled off a huge upset and won for Pollock. This was requested by Jeffrey Kerr, and I know it's also been suggested by other patrons in the past because this is such a juicy race. So let's get right into it. So the nominees were Judi Dench in Chocolat, Marcia Gay Harden in Pollock, Kate Hudson in Almost Famous, Frances McDormand in Almost Famous, and Julie Walters in Billy Elliot. So first, let's talk about our overall thoughts on this category. Looking at the lineup as a whole, having watched these over the past week or so, we'll go to you first, Amy. Do you have any observations on this race?
From back in the day, this was one that I do remember when it was out, and I was really paying attention to it. It's a tough year to rank because I did do my rankings for them, but they were all very equally accomplished, in my opinion, and I very rarely feel that way. I feel like this really could have gone to almost all of them, but these are also very charming movies, so it was very lovely getting a chance to go back. But then when I looked at other movies that came out the year, I was sort of, whoa, wait a minute, hang on. How did these like 3 or 4 people not get nominated?
Oh, yes.
It was interesting, and that doesn't usually happen. But there was 3 that I was a little surprised did not make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a wealth of options this year.
Yeah.
Some of them equally as deserving as, the nominees or winners. I would have taken several of the snubs that I'm sure we'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
So, Tom, what are your thoughts on this race?
Well, it's funny. This is a race that I've referenced and heard other people reference, maybe more than any other race that we've talked about, because it was really the last time that someone won who really came out of the blue. Yes, she had one precursor of the New York Film Critics Award, but, we've seen winners of the New York Film Critics kind of come and go and, the next day. So this was really a surprise. It was a race that had been very spread out. All of the major contenders had been nominated for or won something. So you could kind of grasp, okay, maybe this person could win because of that. But it really was so evenly matched. But I remember, watching this on TV when it happened. I gave Marcia Gay Harden the least chance to win, and it's been a long time since I've had that feeling. Mostly because all of us I know are involved with handicapping the Oscar race now and up to our neck in it. There's so many precursors. There's so many indicators, much more than back then, that it's not quite as the prospect for a surprise of this nature is probably minimized. So it was really nice to go back and revisit a moment when the Academy could really throw us a curveball, and it was kind of delightful to see.
Yes, this is something that I really hope is repeated at any point in modern Oscar races. I feel like, who knows, maybe this year's supporting actress race could pull off a huge surprise, because that's all over the place, as we know. Yeah. Not to get off on too much of a tangent, but yeah, really, really fun lineup. I mean, I like or love all of these actresses, like, individually. They all do such different things, not only in these films, but in their careers. But, all 5 of them, I think, are still relevant and are thriving. This is also a lineup where I think 2 of the films themselves are some of the best of the year. The other 2 don't quite live up to that for me, but are definitely not bad. I feel like it's also a lineup where my overall taste maybe has evolved, and I can see myself, like, at different stages preferring one actress over another. Naturally, when I was younger, I loved the Kate Hudson performance, really just resonated with me. Now I've come to appreciate some of the performances of, like, the more seasoned actresses here. And I also do think we could have a discussion about whether 1 or maybe 2 of these performances are borderline lead supporting. We always have that discussion. So certainly seen arguments that at least one of them is perhaps a co-lead, but excited to talk about it. So let's just dig right in, shall we?
Definitely.
Okay, so I think honestly the best route here is to just go in alphabetical order, starting with Dame Judi Dench in Chocolat.
I was out all night with him. We swam naked in a tan. At dawn, when I returned to my house in my bed, my mother poked her head in and said, "Wake up, sleepyhead." She's no idea I'd been gone. Sure you didn't put booze in there?
Okay, so this is Judi Dench in her afterglow period. She got her first nomination in 1997 for Mrs. Brown. She wins the next year for Shakespeare in Love. And then 2 years later, she's nominated again for Chocolat. Plus, she gets another nomination the year after this for Iris. So we're definitely in the prime of, like, we are obsessed with Judi Dench right now. Almost compare it to, like, what Olivia Colman is going through right now, honestly, where it's like every role she comes out with, we have to consider it for an Oscar. And I think it's also worth mentioning before we get into it that this was the big Miramax push of the year. So that resulted in several surprise Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. And Judi Dench is another one here. So she plays a landlady named Armande who leases a chocolate shop to Juliette Binoche's character, Vianne. In a small conservative town in France. It's 1959. The people are repressed until Vianne provides this, like, magical chocolate that really opens up everyone's minds and hearts and just all that lovely stuff. And Armande sort of just hangs around the chocolate shop. She lives by her own rules. She's a little bit free-spirited, and we come to find out she has a strained relationship with her daughter, which prevents her from seeing her grandson. So Vianne sort of arranges for her and her grandson to spend time at the shop. And that's about it. We'll certainly talk more about the later developments as we discuss it. But let's go to Amy first on this one. Amy, what are your thoughts on Dame Judi Dench here and just your overall feelings on Chocolat?
My overall feelings for this movie have not really changed. It's so charming. And it's so delicious because you've got these, as I said to you yesterday, aggressively French women. I mean,
Yes.
you don't get more French than Juliette Binoche and Leslie Caron.
Leslie Caron. I know. Forgot she was
Yes,
in
like
this. Yeah.
all they needed to do was have Catherine Deneuve in there, and you'd have all French womanhood.
Let's bring in
my
Isabelle
mind.
Huppert as like a grumpy
Yes.
neighbor.
Yes. So it's so charming, and they're wearing beautiful clothes, and the scenes where they're making the chocolate brings tears to my eyes because it is so beautiful and lovely. And Judi Dench, she's great. She's very, very good. She did a wonderful job. And it's one of those, as you watch these at different stages of your life, because of course I was a senior in college when all of these movies came out. So of course Kate Hudson, to me, spoiler alert, seemed like the obvious front runner.
Right.
Because she was so hot. And when that movie came out, that's pretty much all anybody talked about. So Judi Dench plays the old lady, and I like that she's always an older woman with sass and some bite to her, that she's never just the sweet little grandma.
Right.
But I do think that this was a nomination that, again, rewatching the movie, I think there's someone else in the movie who I really think had a very complicated role that if I could make a switch, I would have had the other actress as the nominee instead of Judi Dench. And again, Judi Dench is one of those, she's just always going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, really, she's at the point where really anytime she's in anything, you could nominate her because she's always good.
Maybe not Cats, but yeah.
Except for Cats. But she's one of those, she's so seasoned. She's so good. Everybody loves her, especially in this period.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see why she was nominated. Looking back, there's someone else in the movie I would nominate more, and we'll talk about that later.
Yes, we will. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. Tom, what about you?
Well, Kevin, you're right. I think the fact that we're talking about Chocolat is totally due to the driving marketing of Harvey Weinstein. There is. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even in a year of 5, there's no way this movie should be anywhere near the Best Picture race.
As charming as it may be, I would agree.
Yeah, it's charming. Yeah. It's adorable.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
it's a confection. It's like Chocolat itself. It's a charming confection. It is not a great capital G film, especially when you look at. But I feel like the whole lineup for Best Picture wasn't that impressive. That's just me.
No, but there's some that are a little more challenging than this.
Yeah.
And this is Miramax at its height. It appeals to the Miramax audience, who go to the movies Sunday afternoon, and it just played, and that is the Academy demographic. So I get why, but it doesn't age any better than when I first saw it. And Judi Dench is wonderful. You're right, Amy, in the sense that, we just saw last year, she got in over, in Belfast.
Yep.
She wasn't expected again. Balfe was supposed to get in and not Judi, but she manages to plow through because she's Judi. And she's very good in the part here in Chocolat, but she's not, it's a role she could do in her sleep. Honestly, and considering some of the challenging work that some of the people who didn't get nominated that we'll be talking about had, it's just kind of disappointing that, yes, we're in our Olivia Colman phase right now, but I wish this nomination didn't happen. And there is somebody else in Chocolat who is better, and I think some people who we'll be talking about later are even better. So it was enjoyable to see it again. But I'm not sure that it's something that, I don't think it's going to stand the test of time, and I don't think it really has either.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I'm the Grinch.
It's okay. I think, Judi Dench is fine here. I think she's pretty much doing her Judi Dench thing, charming older woman. She does do a slight French accent, kind of, which feels like it comes and goes a little bit, but...
Yeah.
She also, I feel like, to give her credit, she does have more of a physical sort of blue collar, like working class type of presence to her here that I think is quite different from what we had seen from things like Mrs. Brown and Shakespeare in Love. So that may have been a feeling like a departure for her to play someone of like a more, you know, working class sensibility, I guess. But it also sort of just feels like, yeah, exactly what Tom said, the kind of thing she can do in her sleep, really. It's not a bad performance by any means. I mean, I do think there are moments where, you know, she elevates a pretty stock type of character into a real human being. Yeah, I just don't really think that this is the performance that I would have nominated from this film as a supporting actress. I'm just going to say what we're all thinking because we've danced around it. Lena Olin should probably be here.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's Lena Olin. That's what this Chocolat spot should be in supporting actress. And we will get to that later. But she wasn't as big a name of Judi Dench in her Afterglow period. But do you feel like there is like kind of like what I was saying, like her stretching a little bit to sort of provide like more of a lumbering kind of presence to her?
A little bit, but when I think Judi Dench and Oscar, I'm thinking like Notes on a Scandal.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Her best nomination.
Slays in that role because she's so mentally sick, yet you also feel sorry for her, and she's wickedly funny.
Oh yeah.
That's the Judi Dench that I'm like, give the woman an Oscar. This is like, oh, she's so cute. Like, she's a little old lady. But give me something that's gonna like knock me on my butt. And Notes on a Scandal. That's what I want.
And we know that she's capable of it, and that's what makes this kind of, you know, a little more disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, just to go through a little bit of the plot of her character, like it's really not much to be honest, compared to, I would say, the rest of these. Generally speaking, like this feels like the least consequential to her film, but she is having this kind of strained relationship with her daughter, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, who is just straight up doing an American accent. The accent work is all over the place here. I don't even know like if there's any consistency there. So there's some interesting sort of like generational divide of her, you know, appreciating her grandson for preferring like some darker poetry and things like that. She's kind of bonding with him over that, and that's kind of sweet and charming. She teaches him how to like balance a spoon on his nose. I mean, there's these are the things that happen in this performance. But then of course, you know, Carrie-Anne Moss's character walks in and like forces her to reveal that she has diabetes.
Which is supposed to be this big moment.
Big reveal, yes.
Not.
Yes.
And they're not even the most interesting characters in the movie. Alfred Molina is a lot more interesting. The priest is a lot more interesting. Peter Stormare is a lot more interesting. Lena Olin.
Johnny Depp comes around at one point.
I still don't really understand how Juliette Binoche got nominated. She was very sweet and lovely, but again, coming off of the English Patient win, also by Miramax.
Yeah, this is like Miramax All-Stars coming in and
bring them all in.
With Lasse Hallström from Cider House Rules directing.
Yes.
To bring it back to what we just talked about. Yeah, we're talking a lot about Miramax on this show, unfortunately, but it is what it is when we're talking about this period.
Harvey Weinstein is an awful, disgusting, vile human being. However, he knew what he was doing professionally. He knew how to get movies nominations, and he knew how to get them wins. They're not mutually exclusive, I guess. He's a disgusting person who's very good at his job.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for many women.
Yes, exactly. So the rest of it is her feeling like, oh, I want to throw my big last party. I think her knowing that the end is near, essentially. So it's like an end of life party celebration thing that Vienne has to throw for her. You know, her grandson arrives at the party and gives her this nice portrait that he drew of her. And she's like, oh, it makes me look younger. And she's like clearly very touched and everything. And like there are these sweet moments that of connection that I find with the character. But overall, I just feel like really sort of like what Amy was saying, there's so much interest in other aspects of the film that if I wasn't like watching this and trying to focus on Judy's performance, I don't really see where I would find like this needs to be nominated. Like obviously me watching this on a rewatch, I'm focused on Judi Dench and I'm appreciating what she's giving, but like just watching it as as the film, I don't really get it outside of her name. That's
I
it.
think if you showed it to someone like my mom, who does not really follow the awards like we do,
Yeah.
and I said, okay, one of the supporting actresses was nominated. Watch the movie and tell me which actress you think got the nomination. And I don't think she would pick Judi Dench. I don't think anybody would.
Yeah.
No, my mom would.
Okay.
She loves Judi Dench. Oh, isn't she sweet? Yeah, nominate her.
Yes. 'Cause she's
You know,
Judi
and I
Dench.
think that's what happened with the Academy.
Yeah. There were a lot of your moms in the Academy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a comfortable performance. You know,
It is.
you know where it's going to go, and you appreciate exactly the expertise of the person who's doing it, and that's all.
And you know, she and the grandson are going to have the reunion at the end. Like,
course.
that was never.
Tom is like fully over this whole movie.
I love it. The facial expressions. If we could do outtakes of podcasts and put that as a Patreon feature,
Yeah.
his facial expressions would be a good.
Do like a supercut of all the Tom expressions.
Yes.
Tom Cam.
Tom Cam, yes.
And like Leslie Caron was just adorable, and watching her sneak little pieces of chocolate during mass was very cute. But again, you're like, she's cute.
She's
Enough. Can we move on?
Yes, and then we move on.
Tom is
She's
over it.
cute.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunately all I really have on this performance. I can't really think of anything else to say about the story at all. Like, we pretty much just covered all of it. Like, that's it. So good for you, Judi Dench. You've proved that you were in it for the long haul with this nomination. I think with this nomination, it was like, okay, we're just going to keep nominating her anytime she does something halfway decent, and she's not like working with Kenneth Branagh on Artemis Fowl or whatever. Like, anytime she's in a respectable film, we're going to consider it. So there you go. Let's move on to our dual nominees here from Almost Famous. Let's first talk about Miss Kate Hudson.
You're not a what?
Not a groupie.
We are not groupies.
This is Penny Lane, man. Show some respect.
Groupies sleep with rock stars because they want to be near someone famous. We're here because of the music. We are Band-Aids.
She used to run a school for Band-Aids.
We don't have intercourse with these guys. We support the music. We inspire the music. We're here because of the music.
Mark Bolan broke her heart, man. It's famous.
It's a long story. I'm retired now. Visiting friends.
So this, unfortunately, for some, I don't know if you believe it too, is her only Oscar nomination, unfortunately. But it's also still probably her most iconic role to date. Her mother, of course, is Goldie Hawn, who won this category way back in the day for Cactus Flower. So love seeing some history repeating here in supporting actress. She'd only done like a handful of movies, one or two before Almost Famous. So this was a huge breakout, putting her on the map as a star. So in Almost Famous, she plays Penny Lane, a young woman who follows various rock bands in the 1970s, but don't call her a groupie. She is a Band-Aid. Yes, very clever. And she's a great lover of music, obviously. She's a free spirit. She's sort of like the ideal girl for William, the main character who's going out on his first big adventure as a rock journalist. And we see how he has this crush on her, while she's also kind of enamored with the Billy Crudup character in the band Stillwater. And William just tries to sort of protect her as much as he can from getting hurt. So let's talk about Kate Hudson. Tom, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts?
Seeing this performance again, I had forgotten she was 19 when she made this. And she brings such gravitas to the part. I mean, she is granted introduced as the veteran Band-Aid, the war horse of the group. And she carries herself with that kind of authority. I like to, she's kind of the anti-Mame of the piece. She takes William and saying, oh, let me show you this wonderful world inside. I'll take you by the hand and lead you past the bouncer at the front gate. And in that sense, she is our guide too. Just the surprising chops that she has for someone her age. And, granted, her lineage is pretty great, but she's called upon to do things here that a relative newcomer to film would be hard-pressed to carry off, much less triumph in. And I must say, on a rewatch, I was ready to sing, oh, she's not that good. No, she is that good. And it's little wonder going into the night of the Oscars that many were convinced it was her Oscar to lose. And for whatever reason, which we will get into, it didn't happen for her. She's an actress whose career I've been following, but she kind of, drowned herself in rom-com land for the next 10 years.
Thank you for listening to this preview of How Did They Win, a bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is. If you liked what you heard and want to hear more, please go to patreon.com/andtherunnerup.is and become a patron. Only $3 a month will get you access to bonus episodes and early access to regular episodes. Thank you so much for your consideration.